We're back again. Hello, everyone. Back at the compound. And this one I'm really excited for because I got two friends who I love talking to because they're art nerds. And if you guys don't know, I'm a wannabe art nerd, okay? I think I know something, but these two know a lot more. So first, we got Astam from Collector's Corner. If you guys don't know, there are people out there who actually collect and make money buying art, okay? But to do that, you got to be focused. You got to be detailed. You need the alpha. Astam's group is like one of the most dedicated, hardcore people really diving in, doing the research, doing the history, looking at the numbers. Amazing group here. Always has interesting takes on art. Astam, how are you doing today? What's going on?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the incredibly generous introduction. And I was talking to Ed earlier, who you'll hear about as well. And I just feel like it's an amazing market where you can find stuff that's cool and interesting and aesthetically beautiful and get there early and make money. Like, I feel like you can actually have your cake and eat it too. So that's part of why I fell in love with it.
Totally. So we'll talk some different art, developments that have been happening in Bitcoin, AI, all that fun stuff. Before we do that, one of my favorite people, the first time I met him, we were instantly best friends, I felt like here. Yeah.
I know.
I literally said it to a friend. I was like, I feel like I got a new best friend. And then he came in and said the same to me. I was like, oh my God, it's happening here.
I know.
Ed from Superchief, galleries all over the world, okay? We're talking Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, Tokyo, remote-controlled galleries, okay? You can actually get your art up on a billboard through Twitter?
Through some Twitter action to it.
Through Twitter. Beautiful. How else could you get it done?
Well, we have a website.
Oh, the website. Beautiful.
remotecontrol.fun.
Remotecontrol.fun. Yeah, definitely check that out. And always early on the new stuff, launched the first ever Ordinals dedicated art gallery in San Francisco.
That's true.
And when did that launch?
So we opened the first Ordinals gallery in the world in San Francisco in February.
Exactly. I mean, it's already, I don't even know what month it is. July right now here.
It hurts. So whatever month it is, it hurts.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let's just dive in because you guys are real art MFers, okay? And the space has been evolving quickly. We are at Bitcoin Nashville, so maybe let's just talk about like what's it been like for the past, 18 months of the Ordinals art market. So like, Astam, you are like, you're fully dove in. I feel like you know more. I feel like when I first talked to you, I was like, dude, get into Ordinals. And then 1 month later, you were like, you don't know anything, dude. Here's what the good moves are. Like, so where are you seeing the market now? How do you think it's like evolved since you first hopped in?
Yeah, so I first hopped in, it was April of 2022, so it was basically the end of the bull market. I think you got to separate out two things. Like, almost everybody initially comes into the space and branches out beyond Bitcoin or Ethereum because they're trying to get more alpha. They're trying to make a little bit more money, right? But I think that experience gets you really interested in different things, and art, that's what happened for me. So me as like the art enthusiast, there's a lot of awesome stuff coming out. There's new artists, the old artists are still putting out great work. There is way more great work than there is attention and certainly capital out there, in my opinion. But if you put on the investor hat, probably we're better off holding on to your Ethereum or your Bitcoin or certainly your Solana and other things like that, at least so far, right? But I think that at the moment, it feels like it's getting a little bit more bullish. I think we have now a large, I've seen so much art now in the last couple of years. I'd be curious to hear about you guys that I'm able to see what's different and what's differentiating, and artists who are, getting signature styles. And so there's so much progress, I think, if you think of it as like a hobby or an industry that is just not a purely speculative financial asset. And then there's cool stuff on the financial side too, like NFT lending. I've taken out USDC loans against my art and bought Ethereum and stuff. And so there's just like a lot of interesting stuff happening overall, not to mention like IRL stuff, installations that are getting increasingly cool and interactive. So anyways, I'm rambling.
Yeah, you could shoot guns at shows that Ed's put on inside of his gallery, okay? That's real. That's what I like.
You can get away with some stuff in LA. It's fun.
Yeah.
I think what's crazy and what I love about this moment is, like, I don't know, when I landed in Nashville, I think is when it hit me that I haven't been allowing myself to feel positive enough. It's like I'm seeing crazy sales each week. Some artist is having their moment, whether they're being like reclaimed from history or, an innovator who's been like a darling of the digital art scene, but hasn't like connected to mass market, has their giant number sale.
Yep.
These validators are hitting. I think it was getting here where I was like, no, this is, we kind of got out of that survival pattern, and it's no longer the feeling of like, is this going to not be a thing? Do we have to, not even is this not going to be a thing? Because I know it's going to be a fucking thing. Do I have to fight every day of my life to prop up this thing and with everyone else in the room? Like, or does this exist if we all like have a stroke one day, you know, does this still go on?
Yeah.
And I think it's there. It's like deeply like the roots are there. The backing is there. Yeah.
Totally. So we've seen probably watching like, you know, the art market, different metas come and go, right? I think one in the early NFT bull run, Gen Art was crazy. Gen Art was absolutely wild. I was glued to my computer every Friday on art blogs trying to get those mints. And it really was, if you got art blocks curated, you were making money. You know what I mean? It was a big sale. As time gone on, we've seen different metas pop out. When Ordinals first came out, a lot of it was about getting early on there, and now it's kind of evolved. We're starting to see some artists who are like native to Ordinals. They really focus on it, that are getting supported. And then truthfully, I mean, over the past 3 months, it's been like a real AI like boom has been happening. We're seeing multiple artists go put on bigger sales than they've ever done before, like hitting new highs. We're seeing old work, a line draw or the Dolly 1 sales, like just go for crazy numbers here. Kind of curious, like out of those metas, like what do you think, like we have a lot more juice in like the AI meta, or, you know, where do you, yeah.
To be clear though, those are separate metas, right? Like there's
Yeah, two metas.
They're not like on Ordinals.
No.
Any of that AI stuff.
Nope, totally
All
different.
right, so just for
So
the
once we
audience
mix
at
them,
home,
though, we're going to be richer than God. Okay, keep going.
that's
Sorry.
you know the math of it.
Yeah.
I think it's really been interesting to see the Ordinals art community survive a really dry patch.
Yeah.
You know, and go through with like backing artists that I've been seeing be present.
Yep.
You know, and artists that are also kind of exploring in hand with the tech. I think the stuff that's really been most accepted has been like people that show up to like, you know, not only their own things, but other people's things
Totally.
that are connecting and like exposing people to their work, but also like people that, I don't know, I think there's still a lot of dev hand in hand that's necessary for this phase of it. I think also really got to give a ton of credit to Gamma. I think Gamma's like building roads into like, if we would regard the ETH marketplace and like art community as like traditional, like they're the ones reaching out into traditional ecosystems these days. Like they're not reaching out into like physical, but they are
Totally.
going. And I think Gamma's crushing. I think like it's nice when you see a marketplace have a thesis and have a relationship to the community, you know, and they've done really good jobs on both so far. So I'll give credit to that.
Totally. Yeah. Astam, I'm curious.
Yeah, no, this is awesome actually, because like I'm like 1 degree out from the ordinal, so I see it, but not as closely as you do. So that's really cool to hear that. You know, from my perspective, I think it just is taking time. I think everything across the, let's call it ordinal / runes, whatever Bitcoin ecosystem is taking some time to develop, and I don't think the art side is any different. There are some fantastic artists. You can tell there's some that are very like ordinals native. The community there seems to really rally around those folks rather than somebody who made their name on ETH and coming in. And they kind of have their distinct styles, which is cool. And I think there's good experimentation happening, but I think also the infrastructure, not technical infrastructure, but humans, right? Like galleries that are specific there, an artist ecosystem growing there, that is still taking time, and it's just much bigger on ETH right now. But yeah, I really like that. So, you know, you asked me a question like what meta do I think is going to go off? I think that, you know, AI and ordinals are separate metas that will go at some point in time. And I think once we're in like, you know, the crazy part of the bull run, everything will be going off at the same time, right? And if you guys were around 2017 or 2020, it was the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it didn't matter. But I think part of why we saw what we did with art blocks could happen in ordinals and AI art, because there's fewer really high quality targets, and you just kind of know that, you know, if you're really into it and you look and you see 30 different collections a week, you tell which ones are better and worse.
Totally.
It just like happens. So I think there are fewer like really high quality targets. Yeah, and I have thoughts about the early AI stuff, but I'll let you.
Oh, we can. Okay, we'll dive into that. Well, you brought up something really interesting. So I'm definitely seeing too, which is if you're a person, you're an OG, you've been killing it over in ETH, you are respected. You come over to ordinals, they don't really care right away. Like they don't really care. If you're a person who has 5 collections on ordinals and you were early on and you touched a bunch of metas and were on some rare sats or whatever, they love you and worship you, right? And it's an interesting thing of like, how do you like educate the people on ordinals to actually educate on these old artists? Is that what like platforms should be doing, or
Why isn't it the artist's responsibility?
Well, because artists should be artists and not marketers. That's the debate. Okay.
I don't think
You've
it's a
seen that
market,
online.
but I don't think it's a marketing issue. I think it's like it's a participation issue. You know, I don't think it's like, I don't need them to come in and shill that they're fucking, you know, ecstatic about parent-child, but I'd like them to know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I think it's like, yeah, I think that is a responsibility of the artist coming in. And it's the same thing that was like, again, we're like, you know, it's we can say it's levels and tiers, or we can say it's like rings deeper into hell or whatever. But it's like, if you're coming from the traditional and you're going into like NFTs and the Ethereum and blockchain and all of it, like, have your shit together, have a Twitter account, like, come the fuck on, you know? It's like, there's basics that you can do to just pay respect to the community that you're about to interact with and maybe be a part of. And it's like, give a shit.
Yeah, well, I will say that is different though than the Art Blocks Bull Run, right? Those artists were not on; they didn't have pop and Twitters, right? It did not really matter. It really was.
They were on a distribution chain.
Yeah,
it was like that's.
It was the
That's
most
fine.
speculative part of the bull run.
Okay.
Yeah.
We always have to remember it was this time in the bull run where things were just wild. So
I mean, all the DeFi stuff was popping off, right? Like every PFP,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm not trying to explain all that away, but you know, I think that as the industry goes on, like the game matures. You know,
Totally.
you have to like
have to
accept
give-
cultures. You know,
I totally agree that, and then I'll go in further to say that like it's one thing to say that it's bull run and it's like this crazy thing, but like, I mean, a lot of respect to the network. Like, the reason why Art Blocks popped off is because a DeFi community gave a shit and jumped in, and that's their network. So it's like, big ups to that. You know, they built a system that was like, you know, able to be the biggest organized art release network in history. What do we give it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, certainly that year.
that year definitely.
it's like ChatGPT. They took something kind of abstract and hard to find. They put a really nice UI UX on it, and now people could participate, and they naturally liked it because it's kind of nice to get really nice fine art and the slot machine where you maybe you get the goose ringer and it changes your life. Like
right.
Well, there was something too about like I was like the Supreme style drop. I told you it was a thing. It was like every Friday I was just working a coding job, and it was like, I can't do meetings during this. You know what I mean? I actually missed Fidenza because I had an emergency meeting, and I hate that person to this day. I will never forgive them, just because I was planning on minting it all day, and then it was like emergency meeting, lost it. But it was always like Friday, we're all get together, get to Block Talk, share your thing, and like there was definitely like this like drop community feel that made it feel engaging. And every week you're with people, whereas I think now. Well, you always made money too, I guess. So see, that's the problem. You always made money. Yeah, but that's how Supreme works too. People do these drops and they want to resell it.
Well,
so
it's hustle culture.
Yeah.
And we all talked about that being a big wave of what NFTs were gonna be.
Yeah.
It's when sneakerheads and Complex Con like get the full message. It's like people that are early to culture and meta have access, and it sucks when it's botted. You know, it sucks when it's like ruined for the people that could participate in it. But like most people like trusting their gut and initiative if they found something cool.
Yeah, no, totally.
But the big dependence is also like, what's the network and distribution model it's being shared with? Like, if it's just, you know, a handful of people that are like doing something but don't get it out of their town, it's probably not going to hit.
Yeah. Okay, so we have to do it, okay? You mentioned it earlier. It is controversial. Early AI, okay? It's popping off. People are going crazy, you know? And the thing about early AI, too, is that you can say early in other art often, and it doesn't, like, impact the aesthetics as much. Right, early AI by nature has to look like kind of garbage AI.
I don't know. What about like cave paintings and shit, man?
The cave paintings look good. They still look good.
Bullshit. It's primitive as fuck, and it's like you're talking primitive to, you know, matured.
Yeah,
and you're talking about painting. So I just want to quickly jump in while I'm taking a sip.
Yeah, you know.
No.
Yeah.
Look, I'm
How much a line draw do you have?
I'm going to take the other side of this and agree with them. Look, I hate to say it, but some of those cave paintings look better than Lost Robbies to me. And I'm going to go there, right? But that doesn't mean they shouldn't have value. And I think it's apples and oranges.
Yeah. Well, so how do you evaluate? Because it's always tough because like AI, we don't know where the art's going to go, right? Like we are so early. We think we know what the aesthetics are. Right now we have, what do we, some people call it, what do you call it? Like, you know, 6-finger aesthetic, right? Like people like the
Post photography,
that kind of world is a thing. I don't know how long that will last because once it gets good enough, maybe people will value that aesthetic more, but it probably is going to evolve somewhere totally different, I feel like.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
it's like early gen art right now. I know we've seen the boom and the bust kind of a little bit of it. Like people aren't, it's not pure early. I've got early works that then were not valued at all, like straight up, like so early. And then I'm like, here's my time. Nope. Oh, it crashed. Don't worry. I've got the second Art Blocks release ever. Oh my God, it's worth nothing. The fourth is worth a ton. So it's tough. I mean, how do you evaluate that? Or, if you're trying to like actually purchase, well, have you purchased any early AI?
Well, it kind of depends on what you mean by early AI, right? And this is where it gets down to. So, the way that I evaluate this stuff is, okay, I probably think about this like way too much, like in general. So I'll try to be quick. I think about like how many people might find this interesting, like how big is that potential audience? And then I think about how meaningful is this thing, right? So autoglyphs are worth so much money because they're the first fully on-chain art, like as far as I can tell, period. Maybe I don't know if Rare Pepes are fully on-chain or whatever, but like at least generative art, right? And CryptoPunks, I would say, are valuable because they're the first avatars. So it's like just a big thing that all leads back to these sort of like early discoveries, but early meaningful discoveries. I'm sure, there's early stuff that never took on, like Crypto Kitties, right?
Yeah,
so
don't
like,
remind me.
Who cares, right?
I got Crypto Kitties instead of punks.
So, I think that some people kind of get into this game where they're like, oh, well, this came out like a month before that one, and that one came out like 3 days before. And I don't think that actually matters. Yeah. I think what matters is, what did that thing spawn, regardless of where it came out? Lost Robbies, I think, is a super interesting story. So it's like a cool collector's item. It's really scarce. Mm-hmm. I think that has what gives it value, not because it's aesthetically beautiful or even one of the earliest, because it's not.
It's not, yeah.
So,
but it's got articles about it.
Well,
it's got a blog post about it. That's why
it's got the cabal. It's got the cabal.
The cabal.
About, right?
The blog post cabal.
There was some strong marketing.
Yeah.
There was some strong marketing.
Yeah. Right. And so, and we could talk about a line draw, sure, but Nice Auntie's Auntie-verse has a higher floor, or if not the same. Point. So it's not like it's being elevated above.
Okay, so why do you think that is?
Why do I think which?
Nice Aunties is such a high floor. You don't have to compare it to anything else. Like Nice Aunties is a hit, right? It is a financial hit. It is also a hit where I sometimes see it in other normie circles. Like it hits other normie circles and people like it. So like, but yeah, why do you think it works so well?
I think it's essentially vibes. I think it's playful. I think it's kind of got this sort of, we're culturally sensitive, no offense, but it's like, I don't know how many people who have it are actually like Asian, have Asian aunties. I'm going to guess not all of them. Right. But I think it's kind of cool. It's like, you learn about this culture, and it's playful, and it's very, very, very creative. And I think of that lighthearted nature of it, and it utilizes the post photo AI medium in the way that I think it will continue, is sort of like this AI surrealism. I think they nailed it there. And then I also think Fellowship does a great job of getting it out there and marketing, and they're very good at that.
I love Fellowship, but Alejandro, you got to slow down a little bit, because I have to bookmark. I bookmark every single art thread and I read it, and it's almost too much every day at this point. Like literally, I go back and I'm like, and I'm not complaining at all, but I'm like, every day I'm like, 1 minute, I got to do my Fellowship homework. Oh man, there's more Fellowship homework. Oh, I put out another one. Like they are pretty intense on the writing side of things.
But I'd love to hear your take on this, because they seem to me as like they really know how to curate, tell that story, kind of predict what people would find interesting and bring that in. But and you, as someone who puts on shows and curates, like I don't know, it feels like they're really bringing some trad art skills to the Web3 world in the way that I haven't quite seen.
Oh, I mean, they're amazing at it. I think also, like, I don't know, for my take on Fellowship, I feel a great relief, in all honesty, because I think like we're really good at finding stuff early, and being kind of like first or second wave on something. It's just where my head lives. But where I was hoping the scene would go was this kind of disturbing, surreal, like almost like you're I don't know, what's it like when you're fucking asleep, but it's like you're paralyzed?
Yeah. Sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis. They give a vibe of sleep paralysis. There's just like and I was hoping the space would go there for AI, because I think that's some of the most interesting stuff. I think imagery I haven't seen before is my driver of why AI art is art, and I can always like win that argument because I'm seeing something. I've seen visuals through AI that I've never seen before. Yep. And that, like, sorry, that's it. You're great. So I was excited when I saw Fellowship take that same interest, in that same, like, those artists, the artists that were adjacent, the wave that they were on of like this, I guess, like, it's like I'm trying to find the right word for like a dreamscape that's also like,
It's a feeling, man. It's like that feeling when you're dreaming. It's like surreal. You're like, wait, is this like I feel like it's that moment. Like you look at it real fast, it looks like a normal photo that you've seen for your whole life, and then you're like, wait, something's fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that moment when you realize you're dreaming. You're like, wait, and it
I'll give you that.
catches your attention.
Well, you also, in dreams, I have had that thing where like someone's like, "Who were they?" Well, they were two people. And like, what do you mean they were two people? Like, they're kind of morphing between two people the whole dream, and it's this
Totally.
You get that with AI, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate getting to see it, you know? And I think that, like, I think that Fellowship has done a really good job of bridging those artists, not only like platforming and supporting primarily those artists, but also like legitimizing them in the language of traditional, you know? And I think that like a lot of the places that we're trying to get these artists to, they need it stated in that way. They need this kind of packaging. And I think that's just like, they kill it.
Totally. Okay, so can I ask you on two debates because we're on the same thing? So there's been a little bit of a war, right, about who owns the term generative art. Does generative art, does that mean like art block style, algorithmic art? Or is the AI folks allowed to take generative art, right? There's been debates on the timeline. How do you feel?
Super interesting. I actually saw the debate on your show, and
nice.
I was like, damn, that's kind of a good point. But also, I disagree. I think AI is being generated. So there we go. It's
being generated. It is true.
So there we are. It's like you don't just get to claim it because you like one kind of output better than another. That one code is made by hand and the other one is a little bit more black box.
Yeah.
It's like it's still they're adjacent in the same category. I think that's okay. They don't have to hold it so tight.
Yeah. What were you asked him? Where are you at?
Oh man,
I'm trying to get you to piss off someone. That's my goal.
This is such a good question because there's an endless debate, right? I mean, for me, it's code, right? And it's not that the code is being generated; it's that the image is being generated. Although I think you could even argue that PFPs are because they're the exact image is
100%.
getting mixed up with different things. So
I
don't
start
think
calling Bored Apes generative art and watch everyone get
That's
furious.
how they were sold in the fucking beginning. This was
Yeah.
like a whole, like that was part of their sales pitch.
Totally.
And then also their numbers were claimed by our industry up and down the street. So it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, man. Like you can claim these numbers.
Yeah, totally.
That this is what the industry is.
Okay, yeah.
And now the generative art industry is down 99% value because we claimed it, right?
Be real, you know?
You claimed the wrong one. Whoops.
Yeah. Oops. Were you up 99?
Yeah, well, telling people like, oh, I collect NFTs, like, oh, monkeys. You're like, no, artists really are.
I swear.
Really great artists, conceptual, deep. And he goes, sure, you buy monkeys. And I'm like, okay, I buy those too. But like, it's that they're different. Okay?
Well, it's like a lot of friends made money on that. But
exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I buy the monkeys to afford the art. Okay, guys, there's a plan here. Okay. Well, so, okay, on that one too, there's another debate that I've been seeing, like, flying around, definitely more with AI these days, which is how much do you have to share of how you're making it? Because...
Oh, wait. Not to cut this off,
go.
but could I ask a question that's
Sure.
been like itching my brain a little bit?
Yeah, that's the point.
All right,
That's the spot.
sick. Okay. So, in the traditional world, right, in the traditional art world, an artist paints a painting, that's a one of one. They do a fine art print of that painting, that's an edition of 50. Same image. Now they want to make a poster because they want kids in like art school to be able to put it on their wall and don't want to like box them all out. So that costs $20. They sell thousands of them. And then also they did a deal with the local bookshops because they want to make it so like kids can get it, and they make them for postcards and they're $3.
Yeah.
That's how artists make money right now in the traditional world. When we're talking about NFTs and the digital world, the blockchain world, I feel like we're mature enough at a place right now that we can acknowledge that there's metadata and there's the actual technology that we're using that should allow us to see if something is a one of one or an edition of 50 or an edition of 20,000. And if the technology shows that, then an artist should be able to do multiple versions of their IP to release as they like. And the idea that this is like scarcity and we have to like push that as the reason why artists don't have access to the same types of revenue in the real world. I'd like to say we're mature enough we can trust the technology to show us the way. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm a hater. Okay, I'm a print hater. Okay, so it's bad. And I know this opinion is despicable and it upsets all my artist friends.
How so?
I don't like collecting prints. I don't.
Okay.
That does not interest me. I want singular pieces of art, typically, right?
Yeah.
I want something unique, and I totally get people are going to make money from it. I don't want to participate in that world.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, you go to like NFT artwork and whatnot. If I buy something and then I find out they're going to release any other extra version of it, not happy. I'm going to be the annoying brat in the Discord, like, you're ruining my bag. Not even ruining my bags. Right. I just don't like it. I have a really... Well,
I want to be like those people.
Those dirty print collectors. I don't know what it is. I mean, it just... Something about it, like, I want unique things. I don't know. That's probably some ego or some problem, but...
That's okay. I think, like, you're a specific kind of collector and customer. Dig it. And I think that's everybody's right as, like... Yeah. But like when we're talking about, best practices for everybody. Yeah. There are people
No, do exactly how I like to collect your art.
Only.
I like.
And all collectors should only do what you like.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, if there's multiple kinds of collectors and then multiple types of bags that people would like to participate with, some people might want to collect something just because they like it and never have a financial aspect to it.
Yeah.
And, also, there's some people that are like, I want to buy something because I love it and I never want to have a financial aspect to it. And I want to pay 50 ETH for it because I want to support that artist. Yeah. And I want to be in their world where I'm like, hey, every now and then I might do it again. Like invite me to dinner sometime. And that's how those collector dinners happen and real bonds happen. And it's fun. So like, I think we're mature enough as a space right now, especially because nobody's paying us to follow their rules.
Yeah.
So why don't we like do this new wave that'll allow artists like actual access to the entire ecosystem?
So I actually think it happens in a slightly different way, right? So because I think it's like almost a human psychological constraint. Like if I'm buying something that I think there's only gonna be one of, and I'm buying it because I want to be unique or whatever to help me get laid or whatever it is, right? Like I don't want to find out in 2 months that now there's like another 10 of them. But
that's about transparency because you found out they're going to do that.
Right. But
then, if you buy at the beginning and you know they're going to do that, how do you feel?
So then I think to the extent that I'm buying it because I'm signaling or because I just want to feel unique. Yeah. Right. I would want to know that's different. And I think in real life, it is different. The way you described in the traditional art world, the poster that goes to 1 million people is visibly and obviously worse than the very finely done one of one.
Totally.
Right. And I think in sort of a different way it happens in our space. I think XCopy is a great example. He's got Max Payne, which is sort of like the poster equivalent, and he could even go cheaper than that. I don't think he has anything good that's cheaper. He has like the flies thing, but whatever.
That's the only one I have. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
But then he's got his one of ones that are like very different, and it's not different in the quality of the image, but you potentially could do it that way too, where the image is just like a little more grayed out and shittier for like the mass market one, and it's the same image, but then it's crisp and beautiful for the one of one.
I want to explain how that's class warfare.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Wait, weren't you just advocating for this?
Yeah, he tricked you. He trapped you. Ed got you.
I think that I just think that the degrading of the artwork for the collectors that are buying at lower price points is kind of like the way that if you buy cheaper wine, you get sick. And if you buy more expensive wine, you're fine the next day. They're the subtle aspects of class war. And we don't have to get into that, but it's like if we're talking about something that is falsified scarcity on the principle that we can't tell the difference, then I would like to insult us and say the technology, which is the whole fucking point of us being here, is very clear.
But you have to be able to tell the difference because you are buying status or uniqueness. Like it needs to be obvious that it's different. And I think it's happening now in Web3 in a better way, actually. But sorry.
Wait. So I'm kind of with you. I think maybe I'm working through my own emotions, and I know I'm all wrong. And I know I have bad opinions about this stuff, but they're honest opinions.
That's
like
okay.
I would be okay if you put it on a tote bag, right? I buy a digital piece of art, it's sick, and then you can sell 1,000 tote bags. And I'll say, I own that digital piece, right? That's cool with me. But if you say, I'm going to sell you digital prints that are the same quality or even worse quality, I'm like, what are you doing? Get out of my world, right? But sell mugs, sell posters, sell tote bags. Don't sell the digital thing again. You know what I mean? Like
That's what you have.
What?
Because that's what you have.
That's what I have. It's mine. Okay, it's mine. Okay, and the masses can afford tote bags, and they're going to help them get stuff around. And that's not class warfare. Okay, you can go get your groceries.
No, that should be
Because I get mine delivered.
Yeah. No big deal. I don't need a tote bag. Okay.
There we go. I think all the merch stuff, I totally am with you. You know, I think that's all great. I think also doing like, I think as long as it's done transparently and said from the outset that this is what we're doing, then I think the idea that, I think some of the things that we put on like the real world, the tangible physical world, I think we're going to start getting replications of things that make it difficult to tell if is that the original painting or is that the original painting. I think technology is going to get, you give me 20 years, I'm going to be able to copy the thing that is the original that you love and make another one that you keep in case that one burns in a fire, the same way that people paint these reproductions already, and so they don't have to risk the thing in their house that they love or whatever they're doing for taxes, you know? So like that, these limitations that kind of keep it being like apples and oranges, it's apples and apples. It's an artist making a commitment to a collector that the thing that they sell them that is valuable above another version of it is unique in its value. And that I agree and sign off that that one of one is the one. And if I ever do another one of one of the same thing, burn my whole career, shut me the fuck down. Because it's like,
see, the problem is now that you're saying that, now I'm on the opposite side, because I do like an artist saying, fuck y'all, you thought this was valuable, now there's two of one and got you one collector. I think if a collector, like let's say
that might go for one artist pulling that game.
Yeah, you know, one can do that.
One can do that.
I like the idea, like a fund comes in, does a sweep, you know, they buy some one of ones, and I go, great, and now I'll release all of those one of ones again. That would be, we would love that. I would be on Spaces saying best artist ever, as long as it's not me.
Because that's some Richard Prince shit. You know, it's playing with the games and playing with the rules as an artist. Because that's the whole fucking point, is like, I'm going to do something conceptually interesting now. You know how we're all like bored because we just figured out last second what we all just agreed on through consensus? Now we're bored. Okay, you're breaking a rule? I love you, you son of a bitch. How'd you figure that out?
No, totally.
So, yeah.
Okay, so maybe actually this kind of tails into, there's another little conversation been happening online about like the free mint fight. Okay, so some people are saying like, what the fuck is the point of these? Why am I doing this? And also, there's two different sides. So one is the artist saying, why are you trying to get me to give my stuff for free? Right. I thought the point was I'm coming over here and it's a new world and there's no institutions, right? And then on the other hand, it's if you're a collector, a lot of times the free mint, it's not one free mint. Now, if an artist did that, one, it's free, whoever gets it first. I kind of like that. Right now, it's like opened, timed edition, 50,000. You know, there's huge numbers. It's everyone gets the free thing.
Yep.
Like, yeah, curious. What do you feel about that?
Also, could we just say it's not free?
Oh yeah, there's always gas. And
maybe
something.
The fact that it's not free, and it's also not even fucking gas. They're all on layer 2s, man.
Oh yeah.
The gas is like pennies.
Yeah.
It's like it's the service charge. It's the people making a website happen, a marketplace happen, a marketing thing happen, like all that shit. It's the artist getting any kind of money. Like, you know, this is a mechanism for mass release. And for everybody that's been talking about like 3.5 years of mass adoption being the most important thing, we have to onboard the next 100 million people, but you can only do what I fucking say and release 100 of something, or I'll like shut you down as an artist. Go fuck yourself. Like, artists should be able to, first of all, do whatever the fuck they want. All right. And like a lot of them have been doing only what collectors want and falling into their paradigm. And it's like, yo, that's fine if you're going to support and be a patron of an artist for 3 years and commit. But if you buy when you feel like it, like, let them experiment and find revenue elsewhere. Like,
I have a feeling the free mint is pushed not by the artist. I don't think any artist is like, I want to give all my stuff out for free. I think it ends up being by communities, platforms.
Artists are like, I put a one of one up and I'm sitting there and waiting and getting upset. And it's just like slow. And if it's not up because it's part of something, where's the story with that release? The requirements for releasing artwork now are through the fucking moon, and you're really gatekept from sales. I mean, it's really just like people that are positioning people they already are invested in, either socially, professionally, or financially. And it's like, that's that system. It isn't, you know,
This is super interesting. So I completely agree with you. And you know, in our community, Collectors Corner Premium, check it out. Sorry,
Good chill, good chill.
famous shill, shameless shill. But we have artists too, right? And a lot of times I hear stuff like this, and I don't feel like most of the collectors in our community feel that way at all. And it's kind of surprising. I actually I did not do anything in the trad art world before, right? I'm unburdened by the way things work over there, I suppose, and also that's negative at times because I'm ignorant to the way things work over there. But like, I feel like it's a little bit more of a trad art hangover, and I've seen a lot of collectors who had also collected a lot in the trad art world say things like that. It's like, oh, they should really control their supply. And I'm like, I don't care. They should just keep making dope shit. The more dope shit you make, the happier I am. And I just segment in my mind your supply of dope shit versus your supply of stuff that I don't like that much. But it doesn't they're like different categories. I guess like why does it matter? And and I think that, you asked me these large supply ones, like, do it if you want to. Don't necessarily expect everybody to love it and to go up in value, but just do it if you want to. And like, I like the ones where it's randomized, and like maybe, like the generative output kind of thing. Anyways, so yeah. And I just actually, this recently happened with Rope Ranista, like Life in West America, which I think really kicked off this whole photorealistic surrealism with AI. And he released a 5,000 piece collection on Solana, which I really like. And some of his collectors sold it all. I was like, I don't care. Like, they sold all his work, but I'm like, this generated what I think is going to be the consumer wave of AI art. So I'm happy to buy it for cheaper,
Well, it's also, it's a series. And sometimes you'll do a series that's a lot larger at a smaller price point, or you'll do a smaller series at a higher price point. I mean, it's a little bit of a sliding scale for people to keep in mind, and also a growth narrative. So as people are experimenting in this scene, it was wild to see the wave that they kicked off and how fast larger editions were coming out and how quickly that washed out and that didn't work, because it was kicking off like the 500 meta for a moment, and that lasted like 3.5 weeks. And it was done. And then you couldn't make that happen. It was back to 100, 100, 200. And it was just like, it's a difficult industry. We're not just talking about art ever. We're talking about an incredibly manic buying audience that's going through huge emotional swings based off of forces outside of their control financially. And your drop date may not align with the stars. Get into astrology and shit.
Yeah, that's actually been a big theme with art. Sadly, I could really convince Combo for another 5 hours.
I know.
Sadly, we got to end right here. Before we end here, Ed, where can we find out what's going on next? RemoteControl.fun?
RemoteControl.fun. Also, Superchief NFT on Twitter. Always Superchief NFT on Twitter.
Beautiful, beautiful. Astam, Collector's Corner. How do we get in?
On Twitter, @collectors_XYZ. You can also reach out to me, Astam Cloud, ASTAMCLOUD.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, everyone. We got one more for you. It's a lot of fun. If you guys want to learn more about art, these two, just there are more combos coming up soon.
Awesome.
So
I'm so happy to see you.
yeah, this is so fun. We're going to hang out hopefully after this here. Thank you.